18th. Review. The first thing that came to mind when I thought about this show's setup was, of all things, Kanon, 2006, because that, too, was a game-based show in which a young guy helped girls get through their problems, and the girls also ended up returning the favor. Some contrast may therefore be called for. Kanon is set in the real world, though most of the girls' natures involved major fantasy elements, and its hero, Yuichi, usually struggled heroically to help them, taking on demons with a sword, or trudging out into a blizzard, or at least he'd put his heart on the line for them, marrying one girl to fulfill her last human desire. So since 18F is set in the world of dreams, Haruto does even more spectacular feats of daring do, right? Wrong. Haruto's aid to the Sleeping Beauties is usually much more passive. Often I couldn't figure out what he'd really done to help them at all, which made their gushing gratitude to him seem a little strange. Oh sure, he did give a dying girl a first love experience and to his credit kept it fairly innocent, so it's a pretty sweet episode, and in another episode he does the Clarence the Angel bit from It's a Wonderful Life, showing a skating star what the ordinary life she longed for would have been like, namely, boring and banal. In fact, a number of the Sleeping Beauties were some kind of idol or professional star in their waking lives, who succumbed to the pressure. Generally, in their dream worlds the girls rule as witches, most wear very cosplay-friendly outfits, though a few of the girls settle for street clothes even here. But the First Love episode and the It's a More Wonderful Life Than the Alternative Would Have Been episode are the only two cases I could think of where Haruto actually did much to help in any proactive manner. Mostly what he seems to have done is just humor the girls. One girl he seems to have cured by eating her curry. In another case, we have a girl who's killing the young punks who slaughtered her family in their own dreams, Nightmare on Elm Street style. Haruto's contribution, that helps her awaken, is to cheer her on. Yes, you read that right, he cheers her on. In episode 7 he seemed almost entirely a passive spectator, though I did enjoy that one surreal freeform take on the Wizard of Oz's characters, and its grim fairy tale plot is intriguing, if a bit difficult to follow. In episode 8 Haruto's clearly the one being helped. In that episode, by the way, I was never sure if there were supposed to be two girls, or just one, but if they were both the same girl, then she couldn't have been a Sleeping Beauty, since Katsumi met her in the waking world. He can travel between both. Most of the time Haruto's role seems to just be facilitating the girls talking themselves through to a solution to their problems, basically the approach psychotherapist Carl Rogers advocated. Still, if they just needed someone non-directive to talk to, a stuffed animal would have been as effective as Haruto. I wouldn't exactly say that 18F necessarily accurately captures the ambience of dreams. Yes, there's a fair amount of surreal imagery, but if my own dreams are typical, sudden shifts of scene and character, without transition, are common, and it's hard to tell a coherent story that way. There nevertheless is some of that here, particularly in episode 10, which seems to be done in a different art style than most of the rest of the series. The witch in that one looks more like a character from Paprika, and I was pleased that in that one Katsumi was more the hero than Haruto, though as always Haruto was regarded as the most important character, for frankly cryptic reasons there in particular. Katsumi is by far my favorite character in the show. The only time the show missteps with him is trying to use him as over-the-top, and repetitive, comic relief in episode 4. He's much better when being serious, or at least droll, and his manner also works as a nice counterpoint to his funny animal appearance in Haruto's dreams. Unlike Haruto, he does have a consistent sense of ethics, and as noted can travel freely between the dream world and the real world. He even has his own, implied, romantic interest, the bartender, and maybe owner, of the bar where he plays guitar. Still, while a great ending can save a mediocre show, the corollary is that a lousy ending can tank even a generally okay one, and 18F is only sporadically okay. The final episodes of 18F try to assemble the pieces of story into some coherent struggle of cosmic significance. There's a very silly war between the witches, and a resolution of another matter, Katsumi's sister's own Sleeping Beauty syndrome, that's pure anticlimax. There's some muddled Judeo-Christian theology thrown in, though I'd certainly grant that a lot of traditional religious views aren't exactly feminist, and once again I couldn't figure out exactly how what we've seen really resolved things, but I guess you can't argue with success. Probably the thing you'll most remember about the show is the dreamy bit of electronica that opens it, called Enter the Red Doors. As was generally true here, I found this more interesting than necessarily enjoyable. A frankly embarrassing ending, and a hero that I thought,